Hello all. Welcome to hrtech's Demo Hour June 2023 edition, organized by hrtech and powered by RChilli. RChilli is incidentally the trusted partner for parsing, matching, and data enrichment for many corporations globally. Today's session will showcase how we can leverage tech for talent attraction and engagement. Before that, let's have a quick overview of us. We are a Singapore headquartered hrtech market development and analyst firm. We were set up in 2018 in Singapore. Since then, we have now expanded to India and the Middle East to help HR teams identify tech solutions for their business and HR challenges. Demo Hour. hrtech embarked on the hrtech Demo Hour event series in 2019 to evangelize and promote the use of HR technologies. The event provides a platform for HR technology providers to showcase their high-tech solutions aiding to adoption of HR tech. And the event motto has always been to showcase demos and not presentations. After the onset of the pandemic, we've moved to from an in-person to an on-demand webinar format. We have done various demos focused on leveraging tech for university hiring or R&R for the hybrid workforce, conversational AI in HR, leveraging tech for talent development, and many more. For this demo, we heartily welcome Sriram Iyer, founder and CEO of hrtech. Why are we having this session talking about the increasing need for leveraging technology for talent attraction and engagement? The reasons being the rise of data-driven recruitment. With a data-driven approach, we can make the entire process significantly easier, more efficient, and cost-effective. AI-powered recruitment. AI is being increasingly used in the recruitment process to automate tasks such as resume screening, candidate sourcing, and scheduling interviews. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. DEI has become a top priority for many companies, and HR tools can help support these efforts in talent acquisition. We're thrilled that we have Cultural Amp and Produgie here today to showcase their demos. Over to you, Sean. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Vashinta. My name is Sean. I'm part of the Culture Amp team. I'm based in Australia, but I do cover the Singapore market. Today, I'll do a quick introduction to Culture Amp and then run into a quick demo, right? So just to do a quick introduction to Culture Amp, we were founded in 2009. It's been 14 years right now. And we cover the entire employee experience space. These are 3 products right here. It's modular by nature, but essentially we are a single solution, right? So today we'll be talking a bit more about our engagement solution in lieu of time, but we do have a performance management solution and of course a developed solution focusing on creating an individual development plan and identifying and allowing visibility of career paths within an organization. Now, in terms of our key differentiator, really our unique selling point is really our people science backed within our platform and within our ecosystem itself. As I mentioned, in 2009, we were founded on people science and we continue to expand in that area. We currently have 40 over people scientists within our ecosystem, and they work with our product team to continue innovating our platform with our recent research and also working together with our enterprise clients to share best practices and what we see are the current trends. We also focus a lot on behavior change in whatever we do in terms of engagement, how we approach performance, how we develop employees. It always focuses on changing behavior and eventually changing culture. And the last thing that I'm really proud about is our support system. At the end of the day, when our customers onboard with us, they are assured that they have a great onboarding experience with the support of not only our support team, right, but the rest of our community of over 100,000 HR leaders that are like-minded, that just wants to make the world a better place of work, right? So that is where we have a great support system. In today's demo, because we only have 10 minutes, right, we want to focus on our engagement solution. Now, in today's demo, I will cut this entire demo into 3 different phases. Firstly, it is to collect data through feedback with our engagement survey templates. We also want to understand the results through our robust reporting, allowing HR leaders to slice and dice data to really understand how the employees are feeling through different demographics. And of course, creating a trend over time, whether or not engagement is improving or whether it's declining based on certain reasons. And lastly, what's more important than actually acting upon the data? Now, what we are focusing on is to reduce survey fatigue. And with that, in order to reduce survey fatigue, it's essentially acting upon the data, allowing employees to understand that when their feedback is being given, their precious feedback is being given, the leaders are actually listening upon it and acting upon it. And that's what we have on the platform, which is the actioning and planning side of things. Now, without further ado, I just want to jump straight into our platform and segregate this demo into these three different factors. Okay, firstly, when we talk about our survey templates, right, we have actually 23 survey templates that are curated by our people science team. And this is all the survey templates that are available for all of our customers. So we have a baseline engagement survey template. If our customers would like to do a pulse check, there is a quick engagement survey template right there. We have a template for DEI. A huge focus here in Australia is actually on psychosocial health. We have a template for that as well. But also, it is truly the moments that matters in an entire employee experience, from onboarding all the way to exit. So we have survey templates for onboarding all the way to when an employee exits the organization. Now, in order to build employer branding, a lot of organizations are also looking at their hiring processes, right? Because we are all facing a talent crunch and a talent war right now. So we do have candidate surveys to really understand how that whole hiring process is going. We also have 4 survey templates that cuts across an employee effectiveness, essentially the 180s and 360s for individuals, leaders, managers to gather feedback from their team members, their peers, and their direct reports. So that is part of collecting the data. Now, in terms of collecting data, we also want to showcase our main engagement survey, which is essentially what most of our customers will be looking at. Purposefully or intentionally, we create a survey in a very clean format, right? Because when a person takes a survey, we want to reduce the cognitive load of someone taking a survey. So that's why it's clean on purpose. We use a 5-point Likert scale with the ability to add in comments by employees. And all these questions are fully customizable, though each questions have a certain benchmark that's tagged to it. Okay, so that's collecting the data. Now, the next part is actually understanding that data itself. After a survey is being launched, this is the dashboard that all administrators will have, and they can share these dashboards to individual managers to really view what exactly and how the teams are faring in terms of engagement. So this is what the administrators will see. They will see their engagement score. They will also be able to track a trend over time. Has engagement declined or has it improved, right? And we have the scores for individual categories as well. And above that, companies are able to benchmark from our extensive database of benchmark that cuts across regions and also industries. Now, with CultureM having the largest employee data survey lake in the world, we have numerous benchmarks that cuts across regions like Singapore all the way to industries. Next is actually our heat map within our reporting feature that focuses on slicing and dicing the data, engagement data in different demographics like teams, age, tenure, gender, location, etc. And we're able to understand how your engagement data or engagement results differs across different teams, for example, against your company average score. Okay, so at a glance, you'll be able to see which teams are differing or faring really badly in comparison to your company average score, and which teams are trending really well in this color coding method. Above that, you'll be able to see all the comments that are provided by all your employees right here, down to individual question levels. And based on our AI and machine learning on the back end, we segregate these comments based on negative, neutral, and positive sentiments, just allowing a HR leader to be a bit more agile and prioritize what are the areas of focus that they should be acting upon. Now, on top of that, it's always a pain when you have to collect engagement data and report it out to your management. We have an export feature that allows your data to be exported to CSV, to Excel, but more importantly, to PowerPoint for management reporting. And this is a template that can be expanded or downloaded just in 30 seconds or so. This is readily available for all our customers out there. And one of our customers in Australia apparently has saved 700 hours in terms of engagement reporting with this export feature. And that's what we want to do, right? Reducing the time spent on operational tasks and focusing on action planning, which is the last part of this demo itself. So like what I mentioned, the third phase is action planning. Action planning is part of our dashboard and even our platform itself. So we have identified some focus areas based on these engagement results, based on the company's favorable score, the trends internally, and the external trends that you have chosen. We identified in these green color flags what are some of the key areas they can act upon that has the highest impact to future engagement. And on top of that, once they have chosen these focus areas, they will be led to what we call an inspiration library. Now, we do not want to leave our customers alone and think of what are the things they can do, right, as a next step. Now, we have an inspiration library that are curated by our people scientists, but some of it are actually in collaboration with our partner, LifeLab Learnings. And actually, some of these actions are also based on some of our customers that have taken action based on their engagement score. For example, Bank First. Their instructions, they are the whys, why this action has worked, and so forth. And at the end of the day, while a company has acted upon this inspiration library, they can eventually get a feedback, to ask the employees, has this action really changed? Has this action impacted the score at the end of the day? Now, that is the entire engagement suite. But last but not least, we have our analytics feature, which provides retention insights to give company an oversight on what is the retention rate based on your engagement score, how many people joined in the last 12 months, and how many exited within the last 12 months. From there, we will be able to track why are people considering leaving your organization, why are people staying within your organization, and lastly, why are different demographics in the last 12 months, or rather, what are the areas of turnover in the last 12 months, and what are the demographics that are impacted based on different factors. So we can see the highest turnover and the lowest turnover demographics, and what are the reasons for leaving for each demographic itself. And this is truly based on the data that we have. Now, that is the end of the demo. Today, I've only showed our engagement product, but remember, we do have a performance solution and a development solution that I'll be happy to connect with anyone that is interested after this session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sean, for that demo. I request Shriram Iyer, founder and CEO of hrtech, to come on screen and ask his question to Sean.
Thank you, Sean, Liliana, and Beck for joining us on this closed-door demo session. A very interesting product, as we all know, and you've been going great guns across the region. So a couple of questions. The first one from my end is that what are the key trends that you are seeing in the marketplace that you think will accelerate the adoption of Culture Amp?
Yeah, I'm happy to take this one, Shriram. Thank you. My name's Liliana Kellett, and I'm our Director of Sales for Asia Pacific. And there are actually two core components that we're finding in the marketplace. The first one is that companies are focusing on attraction and retention of high performers. So as Sean mentioned, we do have the world's largest data lake of employee feedback. And so across 920 million data points, we've been able to deduct this type of insight. And so what we're seeing is actually, we know unemployment is historically low in the United States and in Australia. I think Singapore, as of April, is at about 1.8%. And that's suggesting it's very much a candidates market. And what we're seeing is that likely high performers are who have a lot more employment options are at greater risk of leaving. So understanding this, and in fact, the Wall Street Journal had published something recently about how high performers are more likely to leave post layoffs, which we've been seeing across the market as well. The second thing is that employees are at greater risk of stress and burnout. And this is on the back of the pandemic, economic pressures. Here in Australia, the cost of living has skyrocketed. And companies that cut or freeze staffing levels risk overworking their people. I'm sure we've all heard do more with less. And that's a phrase that has become commonplace, but at what cost? And what we're seeing is that psychosocial hazards is now legislative here in Australia, hence why we have that survey that's been created by our people science team, because reducing burnout and risk is essential to having a healthy workplace.
So that's why we have stopped saying work-life balance, right? It's all about work-life integration. So, I mean, unemployment and the work-life integration aspects are, thank you for highlighting it, Liliana. The second question that I had is, I mean, you probably have competition. There are similar features in other products too, but what do you think is the standout aspect, the key USP for Culture Amp?
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel proud to have worked at Culture Amp close to 8 years, very much mission-driven organization. And I can firsthand tell you that having a leadership team in a company that really truly believes in their people will take you to the next level. So our differentiators are essentially our product and innovation, our people science, and our support system. And what that means is that, we have over those 920 million data points that I mentioned. But when we talk about people science, those are organizational psychologists and PhDs in psychology. And the reason that's important is because Culture Amp is the world's largest private company that offers this. So we actually have complete control over our innovation and where we spend our funding. But we have a beautiful, I guess, marriage, if you will, between tech and science. And so everything that we build has a why behind it. And at the end of the day, it's going to impact your behavior change and really impact your culture. And that's something that we have thousands of our customers have talked about and vet us. So that's our biggest differentiator in the market is our people science, our product and innovation, and our support.
People science plus HR plus innovation plus product support. Thank you very much. That's Liliana working out of a farm in Australia. Thank you again for joining us, Sean, Liliana, and Becca. Really happy to have you here. Back to Vanchita.
Thank you, Shuram. Thank you, Liliana. Thank you, Sean. Over to you, Tina, for your 12-minute session. We have Alison presenting from Produgie.
Great. So, hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Alison Eyring, and I'm the founder and CEO of Produgie. I guess I should share my screen. I thought I was supposed to do a live demo, so I'm going to do a live demo for you today. I'm going to take you inside of the product. Produgie is a B2B SaaS that has embedded IP and data analytics that help to equip leaders and teams to build mindsets, capabilities, and culture fast enough for the pace of business. And one of the things that is most different about Produgie is that it's really trying to solve a specific problem that businesses face, which is they just can't adapt fast enough for the pace of change. So that's really the big problem that we're trying to solve. We have two types of companies that come to us. One is a large company that really is they're wanting to scale personalized leadership development. And then we get what we call scale-ups and ambitious mid-market companies. And the problem they're trying to solve is that they want to accelerate and increase the impact of the managers. So those are sort of the problems that we solve. But since this demo is all about how do we attract and engage employees, I thought what I would do is just show you 3 ways that our technology can help companies to do that. Based on what we know from science. That's my background. I have a PhD in organization psychology. This is the second company I've started. I've spent about 30 years working in the space of organization design and transformation. I'm an adjunct professor at the National University of Singapore, and I've written books and articles and things on this topic. So I care a lot about this. I'm super excited to go into a demo. Let me go into my screen. So here's the thing. If you want to attract and engage employees, what the research says is the number one thing you want to do is make sure that you have a work environment where people feel like they can grow and develop. You got to pay fairly, but then the next thing is you got to be able to have that environment of individual development and growth. So I'm just going to quickly show you some of the things that Produgie does to enable individual employees to receive personalized leadership development. And I say everyone because our license costs less than $200 a year. And so that's part of our mission, is to empower inclusive growth, when we want everyone to be able to access these amazing services. So I'm going to go into my impact. So if I'm an individual, I can go in, let's say I'm in my first week of my job. I may have actually done an assessment with Produgie through the hiring process, because we have an assess product, which will generate an interview guide. And then I would then come into the product. But in this account, I'm just starting out with my assessment. I start out. So we have an assessment that we built over 15 years of doing research, trying to answer the question of what predicts business growth. And based on that research, we built a psychometric assessment. One part of it is measuring relatively stable attributes of people, and the other is about learned attributes of people. And this is an example. This is what I, as a user, see. So I see my report. It takes a few seconds to generate. I can go into the detail. I can see the data. I see how I compare against others. I can get recommendations, which is very cool. Usually we only let vice presidents get personalized assessments and feedback. And so with Produgie, we have an algorithm that goes in, it asks the user what their challenges are, and it connects the challenges with their profile, and it recommends development for them. We also have a 360. I won't go into all the detail of it, but I'm super excited about it. You can access it on our freemium if you'd like. And our 360 allows the user to self-administer it. They can do it up to 4 times a year. They can customize it. So they say who they want to do. They can customize it by level. So maybe they're an individual contributor and they're wanting to build up to be a people manager. They can even customize it so it gives them definitions of 100% for the next level up. And then they can customize what they ask. And a manager could have, their manager might say, hey, why don't you do this? So it's not only helping the individual, but it's also making it life easier for their manager. They can see their history. They can see their agile development plan, which is another feature that allows them to interact with their manager. And it takes into account the fact that jobs are changing. They're much more fluid. They're dynamic. And so what Produgie is doing is it's helping the individual think about the challenge in their role, how they can develop, and how they can develop for the next challenge. It is helps them link what they're doing in their job to how they can develop. So that's like the sweet sauce. This is what everybody needs, is to allow people to be growing every day and in every way, and really leveraging the challenge of their job. That's what Produgie is doing. The last thing I'll show you is this whole concept of a sprint. We have what we call a sprint engine. And with the sprints, you have the system will generate a system of actions, behaviors, and outcomes that the user will then execute. And there's a set of routines that they're doing. There's prompts and nudges. This isn't like a learning journey, which is where you take knowledge and you apply it. This is actually coming out of the body of research about how experience triggers development for people. I'm actually showing you a sprint. It's an onboarding sprint. It's based on research that shows that what factors will predict success, and that the failure rate is actually quite high. So we really want people to succeed. We want them to stay, and we also want them to deliver. We have generative AI embedded in Produgie. So you can see that as you execute, AI can make suggestions to you and help you. I won't go into the details of all the screens, but we're happy to give you demos at any time. So that's for the individual. So the individual's receiving this support in the form of assessments, development planning, they get support of their manager, as well as these sprints. Now, that's great. That's one of the 3. The next thing is, if you want to be able to attract and engage talent, you got to have great managers. And it's really, really hard to be a great manager. There's so many high expectations of managers. Jobs are changing so quickly. We've taken resources away from them. We want them to do everything. And so with Produgie, it just makes it easier for them. And so it does it in one way by just giving their subordinates access to support their development. But what it also does is it helps them to operate in a flexible environment so they can form teams. Many managers will have formal teams and informal teams and cross-functional teams. Super easy to set it up in Produgie. And then what you can do is you can, hold on a second, it's kind of hard for me to demo and talk at the same time. This is a team that has done the team alignment survey. And this is based on decades of research into what predicts team effectiveness. And team effectiveness is important. It's not just an aggregate of individuals. It's actually, how does a team perform and deliver? And so every manager can access this resource, and they can do it up to once a quarter. And so this really helps them to drive a productivity and efficiency without burning people out, because it's conserving energy as they do it. And also while they're doing it, they can even do some resilience sprints that can help them balance demands and resources, which we know also from the research is really a big driver of engagement. You know, people, when they feel this imbalance of resources and demands, they become disengaged and overwhelmed. Let's see. The other thing that I can show you on our system is another resource for managers. This is a growth leader team report. And this is based on this is an aggregate of the growth leader assessment. And what this does is it really helps them think about how do they show up, and is this consistent with what's important to the culture? And so you see here, this is the report. So I'm looking at the aggregate data for a team. I can see highs and the lows. I can go in and read it, and it tells us about the team. Often teams will spend a half a day or a day working either by themselves, or they might hire a coach. We have over 300 coaches in our network that are working with Produgie. We can get recommendations from Produgie. And I love this. This is about the roles that people play. And often we have so many customers that are really wanting to drive innovation, for example, but when they look at themselves, maybe they're not very innovative, but they can be innovative. They just have to behave in a different way. And so they can use this assessment to help think about how are they aligned with what it is that the business needs. Okay, so you got to create an environment where people are growing and developing. You got to arm your managers and help them be awesome, make it a little bit easier for them so you don't burn them out. And then you need a great culture. So you might use Culture Amp to do a culture survey. I think that's a great tool. With Produgie, there's a couple things. One is that, we strongly believe that what you practice often is what you become. And so we have team sprints in Produgie that teams can do. And for instance, my team is really doing a sprint right now. It's called Create Team Growth Mindset, because that's really important for us. Our organization is mostly engineers and people that are designing and developing product. And so we've got to be really learning and growing fast. And this is an example of a team sprint that we're doing across the organization. With the team sprints, you can get feedback from the group. You can see the data analytics. There's a tool called a Kanban board. And all of these things help you to manage the sprint and sustain the effort. And that's really always the problem of change. It's super easy to get started, to get a bunch of data, and then to not do anything about it. So what Produgie is trying to do is to not only activate behavior, but then to sustain the behavior. The last thing I'll show you is the events. This is just a simple feature for individuals or groups that are wanting to learn from humans. Fortunately, humans still have an important place to play. And in Produgie, we save money by having an integration like with Zoom, and soon we'll have Teams, and it allows individuals or groups to sign up for fixed schedule events. So I think I heard that in the other demo, and that's super. One of the valuable things that hrtech does is it takes away a lot of admin work that HR shouldn't be doing, so that it can be doing more to add value. And one of them is coordinating training. And so we have customers that are deploying Produgie like to develop hundreds or thousands of managers, and then they use these events to allow people to self-register. I won't go into the console. Any other time you want, you can ask me questions, but I'm pretty sure I've taken up my 10 minutes, so I'll stop talking now.
Thank you so much, Alison, for that session. Over to you, Sriram.
Thank you very much, Alison. Lovely presentation, and congratulations on putting all your research into building this product, which we really think will make a huge difference to the HR teams. Right, our focus is to ensure that the HR teams really stop doing monotonous, repetitive tasks, but focus more on strategic aspects. Right, and I think your product really helps them in that. So I see a lot of features. Right, one is it's for individuals, it's for teams. The managers, the strong analytics, you can track your sprint. So if you were to go to the HR teams, right, what would be the top two challenges that you think that they are facing, and which Produgie can really help them solve?
Yeah. Well, the one thing I just want to say, we do have a the architecture of Produgie is such that companies can buy one feature even. They don't have to buy that whole thing. And a lot of companies feel that they've like overbought on technology. And we think that it's very important to be able to purchase in a modular way. Okay. So it depends on who the company is. But let's say you're what we see like with the scale ups, we have this company that we call it our ideal customer with profile. It's this between 200 and 2,000 people, and they've got ambition, they're growing. And what they will always come saying is, we need to go faster. Like, we need our managers to grow faster. We need to scale culture. There's just this urgency. And so for them, often the starting point is the growth leader team assessment. And you know what? I love that, because no matter what, you find that 85 huge percent of change, like between 60 and 80% of change fails. And a lot of time, there's many reasons for that, but a lot of it's because the senior management doesn't buy in. And no amount of technology is ever going to fix that. And I'm really happy to see that so many organizations are coming in and using Produgie. They're starting by saying, let's engage our senior team. Then they can figure out what to do, because they might then say, look, let's have all the team members coach their people with sprints. Or they can say, let's all do a sprint on innovation, or, so they make the decision about what comes next. And just from a commercial standpoint, you can buy online with a credit card, you can top up. So we don't come and try to sell the whole package. We're just trying to allow people to discover our technology and to figure out what makes sense, what's going to solve the problem that they have.
Fantastic. So in terms of, I'm very keen to ask you about the product roadmap, right? You now have generative AI really coming in a big way. I just wanted to understand your product roadmap, Alison.
Oh, actually, we've already released some generative AI. I'm super excited about it. We have it inside of 2 features that I think are real pain points. One I just showed you on the demo, which was around the sprint, because a lot of times people will do it and they'll say, well, where's the content? And what it's code for is, where's the learning content? So we saw that people were struggling with, what do you do with an action? And so now AI says, oh, if that's your action, here's some things you can do. So it just makes it easier for the user. The other is in our 360. Everybody wants feedback, but the truth is, if you start deploying a lot of 360s, a lot of feedback tools, then the number one pain point is, oh my gosh, I have to give so many people feedback. I don't know what to say. So we have a little AI feature, and what it does is it gives you little prompts. So it helps you give good feedback. Again, we're not trying to replace humans. We just want to make it easier for people to give good and meaningful feedback. In terms of other releases, we have a team dashboard that's going to be released within the next month. That's very exciting for teams that are working. They might be doing the team alignment survey, or they're really trying to be more productive together. We have a number of manager screens. We call it the manager impact board. So we're really diving deep into making the life of the manager easier. So we've been doing a lot of research with our users and partners to understand what makes life hard for managers. And so we're deploying those in Q3. Beyond that, I will not say, other than if you're interested in watching this and you're interested in doing more work on selection, let us know.
Definitely. Thank you, Alison. I probably have one question more from your experience on doing research, right? We do really think that HR teams struggle in getting the leadership approval for investment in technology, right? So I wanted to find out, how do you actually help the HR teams in presenting the business case to their leadership, or do you go through the business team to to sell the product, or how do you help the HR teams in presenting the business case?
Well, we learned that was one of the first lessons learned, was we had to help HR communicate about this. So one of the first decks we ever built was a slide deck to help HR people talk about what Produgie is about. And I think that's been helpful. We also have a freemium. We give corporate trial licenses. We want people to get on the product and use it. Because it's not something they're used to. We're used to humans delivering these types of premium services. And so to think in a very different way, requires the HR person to think differently, and it requires the business to think differently. So we are finding that we have to work with the HR people to help. We find that in smaller businesses, often the buyer's not HR, it's a line leader. And the line leader, if they have HR, sometimes they're small enough, they don't have HR. So they may say, thank goodness I can do these things and I don't have that. But in most organizations, having a specialist like a leadership development person, you got to be pretty big to have that specialist. They're very expensive resources. So with Produgie, you could be an HR generalist or someone who's not as deep, and the technology allows you to design and deliver and facilitate more systemic leadership effectiveness. So it's a long-winded way of saying there's a journey for us ahead, that people have to learn to think differently in order for this technology to work. All technology, I think Culture Amp's the same way, right? Because we're not used to it being that way. So that's really important. So we have to be partners together with HR to teach how technology can work with humans and what's the role of AI and when do you want it and when do you not?
I hope you don't mind me piping in here because Allison, I couldn't agree more. HR needs to have a seat at that executive table because this is going to impact the bottom line of the organization, their profitability, their ability to grow. If your employees are happy and all the science that you have to prove as well, then you're going to be more successful. So we're finding that actually bringing in the executive team is really essential in showing them the ROI of the investment. So almost all of our conversations involve that as well. So I just wanted to add my 2 cents there because it's exactly what we're doing.
Thanks for adding that. I appreciate that. I know with us, what we find is that the fact that they can deploy it in like 48 hours with no cost helps, especially in the current environment. And then they see the data because this data rolls up. We protect individual data, and we have a concept called privacy by design. We're like, this isn't about managing and monitoring people. It's about enabling performance. But when leaders see how quickly they can gather really good data that gives them insight, they get pretty excited about that. So to me, this is a great time to be in the field of HR, to be able to have a much bigger impact on business decision-making.
Thank you, Liliana. Thank you, Allison. Dollars and cents, that's what leadership really understands. And all of us are in this journey to help HR teams talk dollars and cents, present a strong business case to the leadership so that they can invest more in data and tech. At the end of the day, 6 years back, HBR had this thing on saying HR team should stop focusing on administrivia, right? It's time to focus on getting the seat back at the decision-making table. Thank you once again. Really, really appreciate Culture Amp and Produgie.
Yeah, pleasure. Thank you for organizing this. This is awesome.
Thank you. Back
Fantastic.
to you.
Thank you so much. Coming to an end of the demo at June 2023 edition, where we showcase tools that can be leveraged for talent attraction and engagement. I'd like to extend my special thanks to Sean and Tina and Allison, and of course, Liliana for joining in and accepting our invite. Thank you for all the support you've provided, and also RChilli for always supporting us throughout the demo series. Thank you, everybody. We'd love to host you soon.